gmna uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good evening. A second alarm brush fire is devouring acres near Lancaster, while a high-speed police pursuit on the 5 freeway ended in a crash and an arrest. Traffic remains moderate across the region with several lane closures. Over to you, Bennett.
The Echo Park Lantern Festival kicks off Saturday evening at Sunset Boulevard and Lakeside Drive, featuring local artisans, live music, and lantern releases starting at 6 p.m.
Admission is free, and families can enjoy a designated kid-friendly zone with interactive storytelling, face painting, and a pop-up playground beside the lake area.
Over 30 food trucks will serve diverse cuisines from Mexican tacos to vegan ramen, operating from 6 p.m. until midnight throughout the festival grounds.
With lanterns lighting up the night and the community gathering, there's plenty to share, so let's dive into today's news. Here are our top stories. A second alarm brush fire now burning near Lancaster at West Avenue H and North 90th Street threatens structures, having spread to 120 acres by mid-afternoon, with crews still on scene. Camila Arreola has the full story.
The second alarm brush fire has already scorched roughly 120 acres on the edge of the Antelope Valley. Crews say the blaze ignited before 4 p.m. Monday, and by mid-afternoon had leapt across the intersection of West Avenue H and North 90th Street, pressing against nearby homes. Firefighters from the Los Angeles County Fire Department are battling the flames with engines, hand crews, and air support, while residents watch as smoke drifts over the neighborhood. By 4:50 p.m., the fire remained active, with containment efforts focused on protecting structures and preventing further spread toward the residential area. The incident remains under active management as crews continue to mop up hot spots. Camila Arreola, GMNA News, Lancaster.
Traffic on the 5 freeway slowed this morning after a police pursuit ended in a collision near the 14 freeway interchange in Santa Clarita. Deputies chased a suspect driving an SUV, and the chase concluded when that vehicle struck another SUV traveling in the opposite lane. The impact forced both vehicles to stop, and officers moved in to take the driver into custody. One passenger in the second SUV suffered injuries and was treated at the scene. No other injuries were reported. The suspect was arrested without further incident, and the roadway was cleared after emergency crews completed their investigation. Motorists were advised to seek alternate routes while the interchange remained partially closed. LAPD officials said the chase originated after a traffic stop request was denied, and the department will review pursuit policies.
Late Sunday night, around 10:30 p.m., LAPD officers answered a call to emergency services from an Encino home reporting possible intruders. Residents said they heard frantic shuffling and what sounded like a forced entry. When officers arrived, the source of the disturbance turned out to be a family of raccoons perched on the roof, rummaging through a vent and creating the noisy ruckus. The animals, likely drawn by an open trash bin, scurried across the shingles, prompting the mistaken burglary alarm. After confirming there was no human threat, police cleared the scene and advised the homeowners on humane deterrent methods. Officers used flashlights to scan the attic, saw the critters darting among insulation, and safely escorted them back down the ladder before leaving. The incident gave neighbors a good-natured reminder that not every late-night clatter in the hills is a crime in progress.
2 men were arrested on August 10th for robbing an off-duty Long Beach police officer at gunpoint near Bixby Road and Orange Avenue on July 12th. Around 1:30 p.m. Julian Mercado has the full story.
At about 1:30 on July 12th, 2 men stepped up to an off-duty officer near the intersection of Bixby Road and Orange Avenue. They pointed a handgun at him, demanded his belongings, and fled the scene in a vehicle. Investigators traced the car, reviewed nearby camera footage, and identified the 2 suspects. On August 10th, Long Beach police located both men, arrested them without incident, and placed them in custody on charges of armed robbery and assault on a peace officer. Arrests occurred downtown after officers conducted a traffic stop that matched the vehicle's license plate. Both suspects were booked at Long Beach Jail and are slated for a court appearance next month. The department says investigation remains ongoing and will keep gathering evidence. Julian Mercado, GMNA News, Bixby.
Just before 9 p.m. on Tuesday night, a man was shot in the leg at Harriet's Rooftop, the lounge atop the One Hotel on Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood. Authorities responded to reports of gunfire at the popular rooftop bar and found the victim with a single wound to his left thigh. Emergency crews transported the injured patron to a nearby hospital, where he remains in stable condition. Investigators are canvassing the scene and reviewing security footage, but no arrests have been made at this time. West Hollywood Police Department confirmed the investigation is ongoing and that detectives are interviewing witnesses. The venue remained closed for several hours as detectives processed the scene. The incident adds to a recent string of violent episodes at nightlife venues across the city, prompting heightened patrols in the area. Stay tuned as we dig into the 3 women shot outside a Long Beach liquor store, plus more updates. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes, the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. Yesterday night, 3 women were shot and injured in front of a liquor store on Pacific Coast Highway near Pine Avenue in Long Beach. Police say the incident occurred at around 11:23 p.m., and the victims suffered non-life-threatening injuries. All 3 were transported to a local hospital for treatment and are expected to recover. Long Beach Police Department opened an investigation into the shooting and are reviewing surveillance footage and interviewing witnesses. First responders arrived within minutes, securing the scene and providing initial aid before EMS transport. The homicide unit has been assigned and no arrests have been made. Officers have not released a motive or identified any suspects at this time. This marks the latest violent episode on a Sunday night along the busy coastal corridor, prompting heightened patrols in the area.
Councilmember Nithya Raman will be stripped of her Housing and Homelessness Committee chairmanship as her mayoral campaign against incumbent Karen Bass intensifies, prompting a reshuffle of council leadership. Julian Mercado has the full story.
City council leaders have moved to strip Councilmember Nithya Raman of her chairmanship of the Housing and Homelessness Committee. The decision was announced Monday evening, just days after Raman launched her campaign for mayor against incumbent Karen Bass. Council members said the reassignment would take effect immediately, with a new chair to be named at the next committee meeting. Raman, who has been a vocal advocate on housing policy, will remain on the council but will no longer steer the committee's agenda. The shift comes amid a heated mayoral race as both candidates vie for support on the city's affordable housing crisis. The council's action comes as the campaign intensifies. Julian Mercado, GMNA News, Los Angeles.
Donald Trump joined a coalition of state and local officials, tribal leaders and environmental activists in denouncing the federal government's decision to launch a review of California's coastal management practices. The group warned that a nationwide assessment could undermine decades of state-led preservation efforts and jeopardize vital shoreline habitats. State leaders emphasized that California already adheres to some of the nation's most stringent shoreline regulations, while tribal representatives highlighted treaty rights that could be threatened by external oversight. Activists added that the review appears time to open the door for offshore drilling and commercial development along the Pacific Rim. Federal officials, however, argue the review aims to ensure consistent standards and address emerging climate-related erosion concerns. The clash underscores a growing tension between Washington's policy agenda and California's long-standing autonomy over its coastal resources.
The California Supreme Court on Monday approved electronic recording for certain civil proceedings, allowing judges to capture audio that will be transcribed automatically. The decision resolves a protracted dispute between attorneys representing domestic violence victims and court reporters who have long argued that only human stenographers can guarantee accuracy. California courts have conducted over 1 million hearings without written transcripts, leaving many cases without a permanent record. By permitting electronic capture, the court hopes to provide reliable documentation while easing the backlog that has strained both legal teams and reporting staff. The ruling applies to specific civil cases where parties consent, and court reporters will still be available for matters that require manual transcription. Officials said the change aims to balance victims' rights to clear evidence with the profession's concerns about precision.
Intense heat and incoming monsoonal moisture are fueling sudden thunderstorms across the inland empire's mountains and deserts, with storms persisting through tonight. Wesley Tran has the full story.
Thunderstorms rolled across the inland empire this afternoon, forming high up in the mountains before spilling into the desert valleys below. Meteorologists say the lingering heat of the past few days mixed with an influx of monsoonal moisture, igniting rapid convection that produced sudden downpours and frequent lightning. At the foothills, rain slicked dry wash roads, while higher elevations saw brief but intense hail showers. Residents reported brief power flickers as gusty winds knocked down a few overhead lines. Forecast models indicate the heat wave will ease later this week, with temperatures expected to drop and humidity levels to fall, bringing a cooler, drier stretch after today's brief storm surge. Wesley Tran, GMNA News, Riverside.
Now let's get a look at tonight's forecast with our meteorologist coming up next.
A stagnant ridge and a calm jet stream keep Los Angeles dry, while temperatures linger near the seasonal norm. On this date, the all-time high for Los Angeles stands at 94 degrees, set in 2025 during an early August heat wave that pushed inland valleys above 100 degrees. The all-time low is 58 degrees, recorded in 2023 when a deep marine layer slipped unusually far inland, delivering a chilly night for the basin. By contrast, the climatological normals hover around a high of 86 and a low of 66, so today's temperatures sit comfortably between those historic extremes. The live radar shows a clean canvas across the basin, no rain echoes from the mountains or the coast. With a steady pressure field and a southwest jet streaming at 30 miles per hour aloft, the atmosphere remains layered and suppresses lift. That means any moisture that might have tried to rise is being sheared apart, keeping the city dry for the evening. I'll now shift to tonight's outlook. At 6 p.m., the city sits at 68 degrees with partly cloudy skies and humidity lingering near 88%. A near-average pressure field is holding steady, while a southwest jet at 30 miles per hour rides high in the upper troposphere, capping convection and keeping the air mass stable. With the sun dipping toward the western horizon, temperatures will dip gently through the night, landing around 72 degrees by 7 o'clock. The UV index remains 9 for the brief twilight period, and wind will stay light, hovering near 2 miles per hour from the southwest. No weather alerts are in effect. As the night settles, the atmosphere will remain quiet, setting the stage for tomorrow's overcast pattern. Looking ahead, Wednesday brings another overcast day with a high of 86 and a low of 68, as the same ridge maintains its grip, and the jet stream continues to steer moisture aloft. Thursday cools slightly to a high of 79 and a low of 64, the result of a modest northward dip in the flow that allows cooler marine air to edge inland. Friday flips back to clear skies, with a high of 84 and a low of 64, as high pressure builds over the Pacific and pushes the ridge eastward. Saturday stays dry and sunny, matching Friday's temperatures, while the weekend sun intensifies for Sunday, reaching a high of 90 and a low of 66 under a strengthening ridge. The pattern promises a dry stretch with only modest temperature swings, so plan accordingly. And that's your weather. Remember, the local sunset is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Amazon Music or wherever you get your podcasts.
Up next, traffic updates, Torrance manufacturer Spotlight raising $1 billion, and Dodgers star Miguel Rojas winning the Heart and Hustle Award. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes, the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Interstate 5 North at State Route 118 West is under a SIG alert, slowing traffic from Newhall to the Antelope Valley. Expect stopped or crawl conditions for at least the next hour, especially near the State Route 118 interchange. Next, a multi-vehicle collision on Interstate 605 south at Alondra Boulevard in Santa Fe Springs is holding up the southbound lanes. Crews are on scene, but expect delays of 15 to 20 minutes through the afternoon. Overnight lane closures continue on the 405 through the Sepulveda Pass as crews rehabilitate the pavement, creating a bottleneck on the westbound and eastbound flow. Drivers should consider alternate routes such as the 607 or the 210. A minor traffic hazard remains on Interstate 10 West at South Normandy Avenue, but lanes are moving. Transit remains on schedule with no reported service impacts. Expect the worst congestion to ease after 8 p.m., but keep an eye on the 5 and 605 corridors.
Los Angeles Dodgers vs. Kansas City Royals play today at UNIQLO Field at Dodger Stadium. A must-see for anyone who wants to catch the Dodgers fighting for a playoff spot on a classic summer evening. Rufus Du Sol brings their North America 2026 tour to the Kia Forum tonight, delivering the kind of electronic soundscape that turns a night out into a full-body experience. If you prefer something a little quieter, Mozart Under the Stars is under the night sky at the Hollywood Bowl, where the Los Angeles Philharmonic makes the composer's greatest works feel fresh and communal. And looking ahead, KCON next week will take over the city, promising the world's biggest K-pop lineup and a cultural overload you won't want to miss. And now here's Terrence with sports.
Los Angeles Sports Pulse. Ownership shifts, roster battles, and late-season drama unfold. The Los Angeles Lakers have changed ownership, sold for a record-breaking $12.5 billion to businessman Joshua Kushner and media mogul Bob Iger. This infusion of capital signals a potential shift in front office strategy, and fans should watch how the new owners reshape the roster and brand in the coming months. The Los Angeles Dodgers ride a 2-game winning streak after a dramatic walk-off against the Kansas City Royals, but a 3-run eighth-inning bullpen collapse nearly erased the triumph. With Blake Snell anchoring the rotation and Mookie Betts and Max Muncy providing offensive punch, consistency will be key heading into the next series. The Los Angeles Sparks fell short as a late-stage collapse handed the Phoenix Mercury a victory at the Galen Center. Despite Erica Wheeler's effort, the Sparks couldn't stem the tide, exposing defensive lapses that must be addressed if they hope to contend in the postseason race. The Los Angeles Rams enter preseason with a 90-player roster, highlighted by veteran quarterback Matthew Stafford wearing number 9. As training camp trims the group, position battles will intensify, and fans should monitor which backs, linemen and defensive playmakers survive the cut to shape the regular season depth chart. Blake Snell seeks his inaugural win as he faces veteran Michael Wacha and the Kansas City Royals at Dodger Stadium tonight. The Dodgers lineup, now public, blends seasoned bats with emerging arms, and the matchup will test whether the staff can lock down the bullpen after recent turbulence. The Los Angeles Rams lost defensive end Myles Garrett for a second consecutive practice, as his knee remains at roughly 85% readiness. Coach Sean McVay will have to adjust the pass-rush rotation, and the Rams' early-season defensive identity hinges on how quickly Garrett returns to full strength. Stay tuned, the city's teams keep writing their next chapters.
Thanks, Terrence. Chaos Industries right here in Hawthorne has taken a bold step forward. The defense intelligence startup announced this week that it has acquired the Virginia-based aerospace firm Atropos Group, adding aircraft design and manufacturing to its portfolio. The deal expands Chaos from software and data analytics into the skies, positioning the company to develop next-generation drones and unmanned systems from its local lab. For Hawthorne, the acquisition means new engineering jobs, local suppliers are gearing up to support the new lines, and families hope the ripple will boost the neighborhood economy and a deeper tie to the region's historic aerospace heritage. It's businesses like Chaos that keep Los Angeles at the cutting edge of innovation, turning neighborhood ambition into global impact. Later we'll hear how the Baywatch cast honored a teen lifeguard for a daring Santa Cruz rescue. Stay tuned, we will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. Euthanasia rates for cats and kittens have surged at Los Angeles city shelters, with activists pointing to a dwindling pool of foster homes for vulnerable kittens. Julian Mercado has the full story.
Data released this week shows cat and kitten euthanasia numbers climbing at the city's shelters, with the steepest jump seen among the youngest felines. Officials report that the latest quarterly figures reflect a marked rise compared with the same period last year, and animal rights groups say the surge ties directly to a dwindling pool of foster homes. Kittens, which need round-the-clock care, are especially vulnerable when foster families are scarce. Shelter staff say space constraints force tough decisions, while activists urge the community to open more homes to keep the smallest lives from the knife. The city has not yet announced new measures to address the shortfall. Julian Mercado, GMNA News, Los Angeles.
An accounting error at Union Rescue Mission left 638 beds uncounted, inflating last year's Skid Row homeless count by 24%. The city's annual tally now reflects an overstated rise. Noel Kirkpatrick has the full story.
An accounting glitch at the Union Rescue Mission left 638 shelter beds off the city's count last year, inflating the reported rise in homelessness on Skid Row by 24%. Officials discovered the shortfall when they cross-checked nightly intake logs with the annual tally, noting that the missing beds should have been included in the downtown district's figures. The correction adjusts the homeless count for 2025, showing a smaller increase than initially announced. The Union Rescue Mission, one of the largest providers of emergency housing on Skid Row, serves hundreds of individuals nightly. City analysts say the error does not change the overall number of people seeking services, but it does alter the growth rate used for policy planning. Noel Kirkpatrick, GMNA News, Skid Row.
Thank you, Los Angeles, for joining us tonight. Tonight's tribute to Los Angeles First Ethics Chief Benjamin Beisel reminded us of the city's enduring commitment to integrity. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories that matter to you. I'm Renata Solano, and I wish you a good night.